So AI-assisted media generation is a hot button. Love it or hate it, it's here. And it's going to become a tool most creatives will need to utilize at some point in their workflow. So we dove into all the top AI graphic tools to evaluate the pros and cons and see how we could ethically use it to impact or enhance our productivity. And we have a special guest today here from Adobe that's going to give us a demo of some top secret tools that aren't released yet. This is our R&D. So I'm Brett Bagenstose. I am the founder of NeoPangea. We are constantly R&Ding new tools and technologies to help us in our workflows, mainly for me to make myself more efficient, do stuff that I'm not good at or that I don't want to do. And this R&D, has pros and cons, and we always have to weigh the ethics with all this stuff. But we like to share the R&D we do with you so that you don't have to also learn from our failure or your own failures. You can learn from our failures. So again, I'm Brett, and with me, I got Aaron Randall.
What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron Randall. I'm a designer and AI design technologist. And I do cool things here. A lot of cool things. Love being here. It's great working with Brett. And R&D is our playground, and we love to play with new technologies, techniques, and how do we incorporate that in our workflow. And just make us more efficient. And then, like AI tool is just a tool, and maybe it'll help us get away from redundancy of things and get into the things that really want to work on and be creative. So, and AI is one of those tools that, that we would have to try to fit that in our workflow.
Yeah, and little does our viewer know, but there's multiple Aarons at NeoPangea. That's why I called him Randall in the first part. There's too many Aarons, and they all spell their name the same. But this one's my favorite.
Yeah,
we'll tell the other Aarons.
Sorry.
And I think it's important too that we're everyone's scared of AI, but we're trying to use it ethically and to enhance our team, not replace our team. And I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind. But today, so we're going to go through a lot of, AI-assisted image generation tools from Midjourney, Luma Dream Machine, Vizcom, and then Adobe's going to come in at the end and showcase Firefly and some other tools that aren't out yet. So I'm really excited for that. So stay to the end. So I'm going to share my screen first, and we're going to start a little basic to get us started. One of the first tools that I was playing around with was Midjourney, and there are some pros and cons with this. Why can't I share my screen? I swear I can do it. Okay, so what I love using Midjourney for, or any of these tools, at the very basic, is inspiration for mood boards. It's very fast to be able to create ideas quickly and be able to iterate on them at scale, so we can have earlier conversations with our clients or internal teams about things and create a bunch of stuff we can throw away and try again. And if you're not familiar at all with this tool, it's text-based. So you have to type in words for a prompt. And a guy that had an Alabama education, I'm not very verbose with my words, so I'm challenged to do this sometimes. So in this case, I'm sorry, I love people of Alabama, but I really did grow up there, and I really don't have a very good vocabulary. It could be coincidence. I could just be a total moron.
It's all good, man.
Says Aaron Randall from Florida.
Right?
So I love steampunk or Victorian futurism, if you want to get technical. So I'm playing around with, hey, we're making a new exhibit in a steampunk style. It's a visitor center. So I didn't give it a whole lot of words, so it made the exterior of visitor center. So I don't want this. I want to think, what would an interior look like? So I'm going to imagine If I didn't spell imagine right, I would let you call me out. So I'm going to imagine what maybe an interior would look like. And you'll notice it gives you 4 thumbnails, and you can up-res any one of those thumbnails using the U buttons, or you can version it by using the V buttons, or you can remix it with this little loop-de-loop symbol, and you can add in new words. So this is looking pretty cool. So it's very cloudy and moody.
Yeah.
I love the windows. So when I'm creating a mood board, I'll just do a bunch of these and then start circling stuff I like and then annotate the things I like rather than trying to make the perfect image. Because I found if I try to get a final piece of art out of this, I can never get it totally right. So I'm going to edit this a little because I like these angles, and this is just, for your sake, not mine. So I'm going to remix this, but I'm going to make it anime style.
Ooh.
See what happens.
Anime.
Just to show you like how you can alter the style. And Aaron Randall, one thing that I think is really clever that you do when you're out of words or having a hard time describe something, you want to talk through the process of how you incorporate Chat GPT.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the prompting is pretty important sometimes. Oops, sorry about that. So what I like to do is I like to use ChatGPT, which is an LLM model, which is a learning language model. You can use ChatGPT or Grok or other tools as such, and you can just type in, "Hey, I need a text to image prompt for X, Y, and Z," right? And then you can just describe what you're looking for, mood, subject matter, whatever the case may be. It will spit out a prompt, and you can actually be specific. Like I'm using Midjourney to generate the image, or I'm using Luma Dream Machine, or I'm using the other tools to generate. And sometimes they can actually know like what the strengths and weaknesses are, or how every tool treats prompts differently. So it can kind of keep that in mind. So whenever I use Luma, whatever AI generating tool, I copy and paste that prompt from ChatGPT to Midjourney or Luma, and then usually 90% success rate. Like it's really high. I used to do it myself and got terrible results. And so that is the trick. And then you go back and forth. Sometimes it's not 100%, right? It's not perfect. So you got to go back and forth and do some tweaking. Then you can get your prompt refined, ready to go, and usually works out really well.
Yeah, and so I know what I did here. So this didn't turn out right at first because I had cinematic style. So I'm gonna actually redo this with anime style, and so we can see the difference. And so that says realistic. I'm getting rid of realistic cinema, so that's why that looks like beautifully rendered versus what I was really going for anime. But this one turned out pretty cool because I added
Nice.
I added in here black and white hand drawn, and I think that is super cool.
Yeah,
especially if I'm doing a presentation or a pitch where we may not have a lot of budget for it. I love to generate this kind of stuff for like the background image and then ghost it out a little bit to put the type on it. So you get this feeling of the project, but it's not so like bold or in your face.
Right. Exactly. Love it.
Might be giving up on this anime stuff. Oh no, it kind of worked. A little more. Yeah, it's more detailed than I wanted, but it's got stim pizzanin.
Oh,
Well, I love when it hallucinates. There was something crazy I did earlier, which is this like 80s cartoon comic book style. And they just put this random dinosaur on the roof for no reason. I actually love when it hallucinates because I think it's more, I don't know, it inspires me to do other stuff like this.
like the one dinosaur with tails on both ends.
Yeah, this like two-legged tardigrade thing.
Tailsaurus. Nice.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Well, actually, I'm gonna do one more. Okay, we're gonna do a test. So I'm going to imagine a giant rusty robot overgrown with vines in the woods from a wide camera angle in an 80s cartoon. No, I'm not gonna do 80s cartoon, just from a wide angle. I just want to see what this is gonna look like. And then I'd like to try that prompt with some of your other tools once you give us like an intro of how they work.
Sure. And then I might show you ChatGPT also in real time, refining the prompt as well.
Oh, so, cool. Yeah. And
too.
something else that I was really impressed that you do is sometimes you'll take an image and upload it into ChatGPT, and you ask it like, "What's this texture?" or "How would you describe this?"
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, that's pretty cool looking. Scary.
It's like a rusty transformer.
Yeah, I was hoping for Iron Giant, but this is like steampunk copper giant.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, it knows what I like sometimes too, which is a bad thing.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's go. So we're going to go into Luma Dream Machine, and this is also public, or do you have to register for this?
Yeah, so this is you would have to register for this. It's actually public, so you have access. You don't need to.
So you register, get access, and then they approve your access. Do you have to pay?
Well, so basically, what you would do is you just create a new account. That's it. You just create a account with like use your Gmail, your Google, or whatever, or just email, and it'll just you just create an account. So it's open. It's open for everyone. There's a free tier, and then there's 2 other tiers.
Okay.
So I'm part of the Creative Partner Program, so it's like unlimited generations.
Oh, you're fancy.
Yeah, I'm I got. I know we're going to use this quite a bit. Like, hey, this creative program is probably going to be where we need to do. So, so basically, so what you're seeing now is a board, right? So these are different boards for projects, whatnot, and so there's a lot of experimentation. So yeah, go ahead.
You made all these boards, or these kind of default?
I made all these boards.
Okay.
So, so I'll show you. So once
it's like Pinterest, you can create like categories of things you're doing.
Yeah. So you'll go into there, and then there's like a little plus sign, and then now you're in a new board. Okay. And then you can actually ahead of time select your aspect ratio. So you got 9:16, 3:4, 1:1, 4:3, 16:9, and 21:9. I like 21:9 because it gives the like very IMAX, like wide shot kind of thing. It goes up to 1080p. Pretty soon it's going to be 2160. And so
you could also upscale that as something else later.
Right, exactly. So so we'll do the robot. We'll stick with the steampunk, right? So steampunk.
What did I type? I said what? Giant rusty robot overgrown with vines in the woods from a wide camera angle.
Okay, so giant rusty robot.
I should have provided you these words.
No, it's okay. We're going to use ChatGPT anyway. So
whatever, close enough.
Yeah. So I say refine. I'm going to say refine my text to image prompt.
I can't see your ChatGPT if you're trying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share my other screen. Get the camera. Mine. There you go. GPT. So I say refine my text to image prompt of steampunk. Would you say steampunk?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, giant rusty robot, overgrown.
Rusty robot,
overgrown in the woods.
In the woods.
And I said from a wide camera angle, but I didn't. It was mine seemed close up, so I don't know what it didn't. Either I didn't type it right, or it totally ignored it.
Yeah. Okay. This is overgrown. I said overgrown because I don't want a super giant robot.
And I found while you're doing this too, I found that originally when I was doing this, I would just put in keywords. But I found that actually making a clear full sentence gives it more context, and it gives you a better result.
Yeah, what I found that I try to you can speak in natural language and like what you're looking for, and like now like the current versions you can now like just natural language and what you're looking for, and just a little bit of context, and it will give you a better prompt. So I'll just say, hey, refine my text to image prompt of giant rusty robot in the overgrown woods. So even though my grammar may be bad, it'll correct it if it's too Bama, it'll fix it.
How dare you?
Well, just it'll be a Floridian language. All right, so you got a towering rust-covered robot stands partially hidden among dense, overgrown woods, vines.
It wrote a novel.
Yeah, it wrote a novel.
Yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Oh, and then sometimes I say, I always forget to do this. So tweak prompt. I actually want tweak prompt. I want a robot. Want
a robot for Christmas. Only a robot will do.
Sitting by a tree. So giant broke down. Yeah, broke down. Rusty. And I'm doing this because of the illustration. All right, so tweak prompt. I want a giant broke down robot, rusty robot sitting by a tree, and a little boy with a backpack discovers it. So you basically kind of write a little story. Director's hat on, be a storyteller, and then I'll say, do we want this illustrated like kind of look or realistic or 3D rendering? How do you want it?
Your decision.
Okay. Make the shot on a Panavision camera. All right.
Jeez, that's very specific.
Yeah, Panavision camera. And what I like about Luma is that it can actually know what camera it is.
Oh, that's cool. So you could do like a Polaroid or 16 millimeter.
Right. You can get to the very specific, like see capture on a Panavision camera. The shot has rich cinematic depth with a slight anamorphic lens flare, adding to the sense of wonder and nostalgia. So
all right, let's do it.
Yeah, so let's do this and see what happens here.
That's so many words.
It's so many words.
I can't see your other tabs, so you're gonna stop sharing.
Okay, all right. Let me stop sharing that. And this and that. And share.
I'm excited.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be cool. So the really cool thing is that processing is really fast.
I like the interface.
Look at that.
It just like pulled out stuff and
look at that.
Opened it. Okay, that seems faster.
Yeah,
and higher resolution.
I love
the one in the lower left.
Yeah,
that's insane.
So then, so now when you can see that there's like this gives you suggestions. That's what I love about Luma, because the brainstorming process is so fast here. And you can do like ancient tree, or it can be a crumbling stone statue entwined with roots. That's kind of cool idea. So it gives you like new ideas. Overgrown forest, or it can be a misty swamp. I mean, it can be all these things. Golden hour sunlight. I mean, we all love that golden hour in the movies, right? That's very cinematic. So, or it can make soft moonlight illuminating the trees. So, let's just do that real quick. See how that looks. And it actually automatically create another set with the moonlight option.
What I love about this, like the lighting. So, as a filmmaker, I love that it does so well with color grading and lighting design. And that always, even if you use nothing else, I love what it does with color and light.
Absolutely. Look at that.
That's so cool.
It's just beautiful. And this is like inspired by, like, I was thinking Iron Giant of Steven Spielberg, something like that. And with the backpack, it just boy, it's kind of like runs away from home. You just kind of create these stories, and then you can like put that in your prompt, and you kind of like, it'll just help you, generate these images. And then you can go into, you can modify them. You can do, make this as a reference. You can make a video out of it, which won't do today. And you can do more like this. So let's generate and do another set that's more like that. And I'm a little biased. I like this better than Midjourney. Sorry, Brett.
I do like this smooth interface too. I know that has nothing to do with the output.
They won an award for the interface design too. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty slick.
Yeah. It's pretty slick. And then, I mean, look at that. I mean, the light,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really good at lighting. So the image generation model in Loom is called Photon, and it's really good with lighting. I mean, look at it's just beautiful, right?
All right. What would you want to jump over to? What, Vizcom? See what happens.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Try some of the same prompts.
Okay. So
That's so cool.
yeah. So then I'll let me get this sketch here. You know, I should have had this ready.
So while you're opening that up, we had one of our illustrators start with sketching a robot under a tree with a child nearby. So I'm terrible at illustrating. I've always not been very good at it. It doesn't stop me sometimes, but woo boy. I have to do a lot of explaining when I try to sketch something. So we had Sarah drew that, right?
No, I drew this. I drew
this. Oh, you
this.
did? Okay. So we cheated a little bit because we wanted to show off this feature. Aaron went ahead and illustrated a kid and a robot. Sorry.
Yep.
We went ahead. We planned ahead a little bit, and Aaron illustrated a rusty robot under a tree with a kid, but we wanted to do it super loose.
Yes. So let's go here.
This is Vizcom.
So this is Vizcom, and I'm going to go ahead and start a new file. You can do a workbench or start a studio. So we're going to start in studio. Workbench is another thing that we can talk about later. Basically, it's like endless canvas, and you can just keep, doing different iterations and stuff like that. And this is great for product design, and car designers are using this. Nike's using this. So a lot of major car companies or shoe companies like Nike or New Balance, they're using this to design shoes and their products or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the sketch.
And what did you do the sketch in?
So I did this in Procreate. So I drew this in Procreate on my iPad.
And since you're a better drawer than me, you were able to kind of set the scene already, which is awesome.
Yep. So basically, this idea of this robot, it's actually a Neobot, and cyberpunkish. And the cool thing about Vizcom, it actually creates a prompt automatically.
So it figured out what was in your image and then gave you like a text prompt to start with.
Yep. Right. But what I like to do is I like to use our own prompt, right? The prompt that we just made from ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just go ahead and copy it and paste it in that. All right. A little more detailed. And then and so they have palettes, and these are different styles. So you got more like a 3D rendering style. You have a surface sculpt, volume render. Volume render, it'll just be like a 3D rendering, but no texture. Realistic product. I haven't used that one yet. Cybercell, it'll look like an anime or cartoon, or that is pretty cool style. Technicolor, I haven't really used that much. I think I did one other time, but it didn't fit with the project that we were doing. So let's go with Vizcom General, and I'll do. So there's a drawing influence. So I like to keep like an 80-20 rule, and I like to have my drawing 80% influence, right? So I kind of want to, and then 20% for like creativity on the AI side, and then let's generate it. So what I like about Vizcom is that it adheres to your sketch like perfectly, and it'll just, I think that it's really great for concept development, and it really speeds up the process of taking my raw sketch.
Wow.
I'm not sure what it did. It's like a giant lady.
Yeah, it was like a clown bot. What is that?
Clown bot. Yeah.
Tank chassis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what it did, but look at the beautiful texture that it could, based on the sketch that I just provided,
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably like, maybe it's too much detail in it, but, it does a pretty good job of understanding what I drew here. There you go.
Oh, it's much better.
That's much better. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to just show you like how close it is. And on the left side is almost like Photoshop. It has like layers. And the great thing about Vizcom is that you can actually export this out in PSD file. And it'll actually retain all the layers from Vizcom. So that's really cool. So I'm going to lower the saturation and just see how close it is to the sketch, And it's I gave it a little bit of creative freedom, but this is kind of like what I had in mind, like that tone, and another good thing about this is like, hey, we could take this and export it out and put it into Photoshop and do the tweaking, right? And that's where the human touch is so important. And I don't think that can ever change. That will ever change. And that's all the post work. The human touch is what makes it that give it that juice and that polish that you need to give that finishing touch. So let's try another generation and then we can move
maybe
on.
turn down the
I could turn it down more if you want.
What do they call that? That word's too small for me to read.
The drawing influence.
Oh yeah. Influence.
Yeah. And so I'll take it down to maybe 60% because it was at 80 and see what it does. What it do.
Soon we're gonna find out. What does it look like?
What does it look? Okay.
Well, that's pretty good.
It's like taking he's.
Oh no.
Going to the bathroom.
Taking a rest. He's taking a rest, sir.
He's taking a rest. He's taking a rest. Well, that's kind of cool.
All right. We have a special guest that's been patiently waiting for us to be done talking about our dumb stuff. So, Jay, welcome. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, dude. So what do you have to share? Who are you? Tell everyone who you are.
Who am I? Wow, who is this guy just on your camera here? So, hey, I'm Jay Ganaden. I'm Director of Global Agency Partnerships. I work a lot closely with the SOTA digital agencies, for which NeoPangea is a part. So happy to be here and walking through a little bit of Adobe Firefly today. I also oversee some of the big agency holding companies, so I have a lot of perspective. And I also came from the agency world, both large and small, before Adobe. I've now been at Adobe 6.5 years or so, and I came in to lead the Adobe XD team, our screen design tool, and getting that in the hands of as many designers as possible. I shifted at some point into Firefly, but I came to Adobe from Razorfish, where I was a UX director and I ran experience strategy in the West, based in San Francisco. So I'm still here in the West Coast in San Francisco. And I'm part of the Adobe offices here. It's formerly the Macromedia office.
Yeah.
So OG there.
We still have CD-ROMs laying around.
Nice. Super cool. So yeah, today I'm just here to walk you guys a bit through Firefly. And really Firefly is something that signaled a big shift in our company. We're very much an AI first company these days in everything that we do. We've generated 17 billion plus images, which is just mind boggling to me. We actually in a couple of weeks at Adobe Summit in Las Vegas. That's one of our big conferences of the year. That's where we released Firefly 2 years ago, and it's been it's just been quite the ride ever since. So I'm happy that our team was the founding team that helped kick off Firefly when it was still in private beta. I was collecting emails. People were interested. What does this thing do? And so we put on a bunch of folks into that. And then ultimately also a co-founder of Firefly Enterprise, which includes ways to generate these images that you see here with APIs. It also involves custom models, so an ability to create your own sort of Gen AI on top of Firefly. It's been quite the ride getting that all up and really responding to what our customers have asked for. That's who I am briefly, and why I'm here today.
Yeah, it's grown so much in just those 2 years. I couldn't believe you just said 2 years, actually.
2 years, just 2 years. And it seems like we've had the pleasure of really kind of getting into, a lot of creative workflows and being mindful of how disruptive this is to our practice. I've been also an advertising photographer, so some of the things that we can do now just blows my mind. So I'm happy to see that, we're being thoughtful about how generative AI is affecting workflows and the skills that you need to adapt to it. It's definitely it's almost another tool big tool in your toolkit these days. It simplifies things and allows you to imagine things that you would have otherwise had to composite before in the sort of film-driven or footage-driven world. So really cool to be part of that. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about like how we're approaching generative AI, because there are a lot of concerns about copyright and protecting artwork and the creator. So I really want to get into that stuff. So one thing is we do not and have never trained Firefly on customer content, right? So agencies, of course, our end clients, our end brands, we never have trained on that. In fact, it became one of our most important things to do, in light of what competition does, right? There's a lot of scraping of the internet. And we said, we don't want to do that. We've actually got an asset. We've got a community, and we've got a product in Adobe stock. So that's 375 million images, videos, illustrations, and we've vetted all of the contributors. And as being part of our program, they also get another check. So very cool that we've sort of taken the high road here.
Yeah. And the other side of that is too, a lot of our customers are like suspicious of using AI tools because they're worried once we upload their assets and their IP into a system, it's going to use it for other things. But
yeah, absolutely. And we always get that question with custom models or using reference images that I'll show you later. We don't take those images. We need those images, of course, to use the styles that are used or the subjects that are used to make an image in that likeness. But it's never something that we'll add to the Firefly data set. And then the other thing too is, we only train on content where we have permission to do so, right? So all the content contributors within Adobe stock have been contacted, and we asked whether or not they want to opt in. And so we still give them that control, right?
That's awesome.
And as I said, we compensate our stock contributors as being part of that model. And we don't mind the web for content to train Firefly, right? This is all kind of us taking the stance that we want to produce something that is not only safe to use commercially, but also something that is safe, a safe place for creators. Yeah. So very important to us. And then we develop Firefly in a way that it doesn't, that we prevent it from creating content that infringes other copyrights. So if you try to enter in branded terms like, Michael Jordan, or a pair of Air Jordan 1s or something like that, we're going to kick out an exception in Firefly when you try to prompt for that. And so it's important to us, again, that others don't sort of abscond with other brands. Of course, we still have tools like Photoshop where you can composite those works, and you also have your clients, and we assume that you'll have access and licensing rights to those assets, those images as branded images to use in your work. So it's the same as it was when we had, when we're producing stuff as we are producing stuff with Photoshop, whether it's generative AI as part of that image making, or if it's a combination of branded images along with stock backgrounds, for example.
And I assume for like an enterprise build or something, you'd be able, if you were a Nike or a Converse or something, you could have custom models trained. So
absolutely. Yeah. Or as an agency acting on their behalf, we assume that you'll have licensing rights as their, agency, to use that work in the campaigns that you design. So yeah, there's a bit of trust that we build into that. But we have our own sort of automated protections if you try to use, branded terms inside of prompts.
So is there like a pretty much an easy vetting process, right? As far as like, hey, we're an agency that actually collaborate with Nike or Converse or whatever, and that should be like, that's a pretty streamlined process.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have, we don't claim any copyright on your content that you generate with Firefly, right? So that's important for us to say, hey, even though you're using our tool set to do it, it's still your artwork. I mean, it's just, again, same as it was with Photoshop or Premiere Pro, where you're inventing your own and creating your own work. That work is yours. And then we also founded something, call it a couple of election cycles ago, in a world of deep fakes. And it was something called Content Authenticity Initiative, and it's now a consortium of media companies, agencies, that all, profess to say, like, we want to have accurate content. And so the Content Authenticity Initiative was born, and then we've said, okay, let's create a separate sort of almost digital watermark with our content, and we'll call that content credentials. Right. So it sits in a way that, in the same way that metadata on an image would sit. You're able to see that the image was, whether or not it was generated with AI or parts of it were generated with AI. And so, yeah, another very important part of how we're saying an image is an image or an image is a generated image. So that's part of what we do. And then certainly we've been involved in our government to again, advocate for artists, and we'll defend those intellectual property rights of creatives, right? So it's absolutely something that we want to do right. We're a generative AI organization that doesn't really have as much of the stuff that we see with others that have data sources that come from all over the internet. Okay. And then we explicitly prohibit third parties from training on customer content on our servers, such as Behance, right? So you can imagine, wow, that's just so much like imagery there. Are you guys opening the door for people to scrape through that? And the answer is no. Right. So we want our customers to know and creators to know that their work is safe with us when they use it for portfolios on Behance. Yeah. So just I wanted to kind of get through all that because I don't know if it's clear all the time that we're kind of taking the high road, if you will. Some people already knew it. Like I was on a panel at Cannes like 2 years ago, and the chief creative officer of Hogarth said, like, hey, Jay's being modest over there. You guys do know that they're doing everything right for creatives, right? And he just he just rattled off like 5 of these, and I was like, oh wow, thanks, so it was definitely a good moment.
And there's a lot of our customers that are all over the place too. We're having a lot of these conversations with people who are just like completely, totally against AI, no matter what shape or form. So it's
for sure
primarily education. And then on the other side, I don't care. Like, let's just break some stuff and see what happens. And on the other side, we're just like, well, I don't want to get us all in trouble in a year if legislation should change or, somebody recognizes as a reference,
And so, that's exactly why we've tried to get ahead of it, right? Like, even when we were doing, we weren't the first to the ball, right? there were certainly others that came before us, but we also wanted to learn about what it means, what it means to be a creator with generative AI, and the sort of initial atmosphere that we have, and still today, some of it still exists, of the fear of it taking our jobs, or altering the way we learned our craft, simplifying it and democratizing it for others. I think those are all goals. We want many people to be creative and have the right tools to do it. But we also want to respect those who trained to be creatives, right? And to really get at the top of their craft. So that is a very important part of what we do. Yeah. And it's why you see right now, there's enough for me to walk through here in just the browser. But we've integrated Firefly and all of the tools that you learned from the very beginning. So Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Illustrator, newer stuff like Express, all of that is, all of those engineering teams and product teams have their own Firefly roadmap, in addition to us just kind of working as the Firefly team to build new and cool stuff, while also just, opening our ear to the community like this, and just really hearing about what you need. So
we hear from a lot of fellow creators too. They're so scared that their jobs are going to be taken away by a project manager with a prompt. And I'm like, listen, the other day I had to reformat a portrait image into a landscape and the data didn't exist. I could just extend that in Photoshop and I have an image.
Yep.
I would take me all day to paint that in.
Oh man,
so much time. I love it.
I did the same thing, right? So if I had to take a square crop image and make a wide banner out of it, all I would do is grab the edges of it, stretch it, Gaussian blur it, and then drop copy on that, right? So now it's actually you can make some interesting backgrounds. I'll show you that too. Just assuming that your audience might not know what we're talking about there, but it is probably the most common use case that we see in Photoshop is generative expand and generative fill. And then when let's say you're in the predicament of having to do that across 10,000 square cropped images, we now can use APIs to help you just process through that using Gen Expand on all of those, outputting to a separate folder. You can even just use a Photoshop action and we'll call the action with the API. And instead of it tying up your machine and doing, 10,000 crops, resizes, it'll just do it server side. Right. So pretty cool there. There's things like, I hated doing that as a designer anyway. Where why don't I let the machine do that part? Right. And I'll focus on the big idea.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it, having been a photographer, having been a designer, that's what makes, and well, I should say I'm still all those things, but I do feel that, we're doing right by craft, right? Giving you the right tools and giving you the time to be more creative.
Yeah. And what we were seeing earlier was people worried about their jobs being taken away by producers or non-creatives. Every tool is evolving to help the creator, and you still have to have that creative vision. This is a tool. This 100%. Isn't the artist.
Yeah. Yes. Being your eye, being a creative director, having good taste, knowing your client well enough to know if it's going to resonate, knowing if the brand is ownable or the image is ownable with the brand. All of that stuff is in the creative director's brain, right? Yeah. That's really not something we see a machine getting trained to do. If anything, the machine can be trained to create likenesses of stuff that we imagine. And we'll see how we do that today. But yeah, I feel like we are doing right by the folks that have concerns about producers. I think there's going to be some producers that say what, I've always aspired to go back into creative. That's what I studied in school. And now I can maybe help with pitches, right? Yeah. Because we never have time for pitches. And I always got to get a designer off the floor that is already billable to go help me do the pitch creative. And if they can do some of this here with Firefly, saves some time. And then, maybe it's like, it changes what the dynamic of design review might look like. If you've got some people that want to do that, oftentimes they're going to be so pressed by deadlines anyhow, and updating status sheets that, it'll be hard enough just to take more of that job. Right. So I don't see that changing, because there's deadlines aren't disappearing. You're still going to have to, in fact, they're shortening. Right.
Yeah.
I think
because they know what Gen AI can do. So let me just give you guys a quick orientation of the Firefly interface. I think since the last time we talked, which is, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we've relaunched the Firefly website.
That's great.
It looks different. It might look different to you. So a few things that we've done, you might see a few different pieces of the nav here. But really, this is kind of the sub-nav. When you're in here, of course, you have the prompt. But then we've got some things. We're always going to have some new features that we're featuring at the top. We're going to have text to image, text to video, some new audio models that we've got, and of course, vector generating vectors with Illustrator, and recoloring vectors with Illustrator. So these are the things that we've released recently. I think creative production is something that's interesting, because let me see if I can get it. So we've basically taken this is the first cut of us taking the APIs, and instead of you having to know how to code, we've put that behind a UI. Right. So awesome. If you just want to upload images and remove backgrounds, we can do that. We can do automated crops. Like we're saying with generative expand, we can crop multiple files at once for you using these. There's going to be a lot more of these that we add to it. And so keep a lookout for that. Other things too, and this is just going to show me, I'm in my regular account, but I have a test account where I can train a custom model. But if you go to the custom models piece here, you can view a video about how it works. Essentially, the way custom models works is that you'll upload between 7 and 30 images that you have that say it represents, like, maybe I'll make it up, like Home Depot and Home Depot orange. And I've got, people wearing, the aprons, and so I might have like that as the style, right? Warehouses and whatnot. And I can use that to train a model with the branded colors of that Home Depot orange, along with, that photography style. And so we'll take all of those images, and then when you want to generate, like, a guy with a bandsaw and a piece of plywood, you could prompt that, but call the custom model to do that, right? So a lot of cool stuff there. That was probably the top customer feature request, when we launched 2 years ago. So we launched the custom models about a year ago, as well the APIs.
We used a couple times here, and it works really well.
Literally twice in the last 2 weeks we used it for the project.
That's killer. Very nice.
We love it. Yeah.
Well, hey man, you got to do your show and tell.
When it's launched, we'll show you, and we'll do this again.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, I was going to give you some feedback, and we just love it. So
yeah, that's killer. I love it. Love to hear that. And once you launch, we'll get a story up for you guys, and and all that stuff. So keep me in the loop there.
No problem.
So some oldies but goodies, like we've got text to image, of course. We're now on image model 3. We will be releasing image model 4, which takes care of a lot of the early stuff. I mean, image model 3 did a pretty good job of getting better quality images. Image model 4 is doing stuff like better text rendering. We're doing much better with human faces. Certainly the 6-finger problem, like that we've seen a lot of that kind of disappear. So lots of cool stuff with that. A lot of the reason why that model improved was because of text to video, right? Because I have to put a person or a subject in scene and move that person, right? And so having better accuracy, it's kind of garbage in, garbage out. Like we needed to have better accuracy of the image in order to then generate video around it.
Right.
So text to video, scene to image. I mentioned this last time as Project Neo. And so this is a way to create 3D images, and with the assumption that you really just know Illustrator, right? You don't need to know like Cinema 4D and those kind of, you don't even need to know Substance, the Adobe tool for 3D image making. So I'll walk through some of these things. Translate video. This is pretty cool, right? So you're able to upload a video, and we'll do, you'll choose the language that you want it translated into. And we will then splice in the translated language, script, if you will, and also sync lips with what they're saying. So, and the voice tonality of that person.
Is Klingon supported yet?
Is which one?
Klingon?
I don't know. I'm afraid I don't know what. Oh, right. You're joking. Yeah. Dude, got me.
Yeah, seriously. You almost got me too. I was like,
you were in the zone. You were like, what are you talking about?
Nerd alert. That's awesome. Okay. And then image to video. This is the notion of taking a still image and then turning that into a video. So that's using a reference. Translation of audio, that's the same translate video. It's the same thing where we can read in a script and translate it for you as well. And so yeah, that's kind of the orientation of the interface. There is a gallery, of course. You can remix these prompts, which is a ton of fun. And again, it's for folks that maybe you don't have as many like prompts to begin with, right? Or you don't consider yourself a prompt engineer, right? But you can open up these images and see for yourself like how the prompts were created, and we've got other documents too that I can share with you guys about sort of prompting best practices, because we have had some customers that try to take a prompt from another generative AI that might be super verbose, and it just confuses Firefly, right? So it's like we still do the same things, but we're kind of brothers of different mothers, if you will. So there's different ways of how we might prompt, and what we can share that with you guys too. So that's the orientation of the interface. There's other. So I went into the gallery here at some detail, and then I started to like plug some of these, and so I had fun with this guy here. And you can see that when you pull in that image, well, here, let me just show you, if I take even this image, and you can try the prompt, right? So, I've got this image that's coming from the gallery, and let's just see how it had taken this one, which I had taken an anime image also from the gallery. So here's a go of it here. And then some of the things that are interesting from this point is like, if I like this guy or woman, I can open it in Photoshop Web. I can upscale it. And just for speed's sake, on the initial generation here, we'll, that actually rendered pretty quickly just to get to the 4. It used to, we were doing image generation up to 2,000 pixels on the long side. And so now with these smaller images, we can get to the idea faster. And then there's other things here too that's helpful. So when you click on edit, I could just go straight to generating a video from here, right? So again, this is image to video then, and it's a single click. I don't have to download the image and then go off into text to video and generate it there. Generative fill. So if I wanted to say put earrings on this person or something funny like that, I could do so. I could select out around here and put gold earrings or what have you. Generate similar is also one like, hey, I've kind of gone through. I've hit generate so many times. This is the one that I like the most. It has the best color palette for me. It has the best shape of her face, so I can generate similar. Composition reference. So this is going to save this headshot as the compositions, she's like right in the middle. There's kind of a black background behind, so a lot of neutral space. So I can use her as the composition reference, and then maybe when I prompt in the next image, it's hair on fire, right? Like, so that's. But I still use the same overall composition here, and same with style reference. So if I do like this color palette, I can upload her as the style reference, and then as I prompt later, it might be hair on fire, but still rendering that fire in this sort of minty color here. So, and then again, opening it in Photoshop Web. For some customers that use Adobe Express, that's all template driven design. Right. So if I want to create a bike racing poster or something, or a Halloween poster in this case, maybe, I could do so and choose a template from here to create that design. I can add text, shapes, graphics, create a social post from this, etc. The other things too that are helpful, if this is just terrible, right, give it a thumbs down. If it's awesome and you really like it, give it a thumbs up. They're using all of that data to improve the quality of the model every day, right? So if you do find something with less than perfect results, it's often the time we get the bad reviews. Click it down, click it a thumbs down, and then we'll work on that. Other things. So I want to maybe save this to favorites, right? So I can view the favorites here, and these are some past images that I've generated, and so I can always reference these. And to get there from the main UI, I would go to Files, right? And so it's already lit me up in Files here. And I'm also tracking generation history. So you can see the stuff that I've just been playing with recently. And then style kits is another thing. So think of style kits like Lightroom presets, right? It's going to save the entire recipe of an image, right? So it's going to be like, let me just click on one of these, right? So it's going to save the entire recipe. Oh, it just took me out to save this as a style kit. But let me go back. It's going to save the entire recipe. So it's the prompt of the image. It's going to be the all of the presets that I chose in the UI that I'll show you guys here in a sec. Any reference images, all that will be saved. So if I'm back to here, I could save this as a style kit, right? And I can just say like funny black and white character.
It reminds me of Tim Burton.
And see, yeah. Right. And then I'll just do a select all if I want all of these things. And then, or if I wanted to say, lock it down, right? And don't change these aspects, because there's going to be an element of this, like I'll do a save. There's an element of this where I can share it, right? Oh. So let's say, again, you've been in the trenches generating all day, and it's like, oh man, I'm in just the rabbit hole. I need to save where I'm at, right? And so I do that, and then it's like, oh, I can share this with the team, and they can start generating from this character, right? We're going to make this guy the hero in our campaign, right? So yeah, that's the notion of style kits. And so again, kind of thinking of this as a Lightroom preset, if you will. Now, I did say there's other things here in the UI that are, interesting. So some of the most basic stuff that we had was, okay, well, what size do we want to make this, right? So if I'm sort of going to make these destined for text to video, I'm going to just go ahead and say, I want to generate some widescreen. Uh-huh. I want it still to be this kind of art look. And then there's I mentioned the references, right? So one is, one's going to be the style reference. Well, sorry, style reference here. And then the other is going to be where did I go? So I'm going to do style reference, and then I can do structure reference as well, right? So the composition reference, right? So we change the terms on it all the time. So spacing.
I remember the change. Structure.
So style is about color palette. or illustration style, and then the structure reference is going to be about composition. Now, this thing you're seeing here with object, this is a tool that we call object composite. So you're able to say, like, let's say you're working with, a product company like, okay, so Bodum, the coffee, right? So I'm going to take that product of coffee mug, and I want to drop that on a wooden surface, right? That I'm going to generate the wooden surface in Firefly, but I have the product image already, or Porsche 911. I'm going to put that in a parking lot on the beach with no people in the background, right? So prompt for that, drop it in, and then so that's the way object composite will work there. So, and then the other things too, there's all of the effects that you have in the left-hand side here. So you can choose art movements. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that we don't want to necessarily abscond with, Picasso's work or Kandinsky's work, right? Like, and so rather than naming that, we'll name the art movement, right? So Cubism, right? Or Impressionism. So all of those things you can use here. In the way of movements, themes, right? So whether I want something that's more illustrative, or a particular art style, I can, like, line gradient. Like, some people like to choose like line gradient, or some of them are like treatments, like bold lines might be used for storyboards. Like low fidelity or ink might be used for low fidelity storyboards. Where you're not married to or stippling sometimes that are used in a lightweight way. That's another thing that reminds me. So if I wanted to just upload like a hand-drawn sketch, I could use that in structure reference, right? And like, let's say it's a winding road with perspective that takes me, wide in the foreground and takes me to a thinner road in the background with mountains that I just roughly draw in the background. I can then effectively skin that using Firefly, right? So if hand-drawn sketches are still something that can be used in your practice, even with generative AI. So highly encouraged to do that. In fact, a lot of our customers do, in fact, do that. We've got one campaign that was done with Sanofi, a pharmacy or pharma customer, and their agency from IPG, I should say MRM in Brazil. So they create a really cool campaign for Dulcolax, a laxative using these sort of princess-like characters that they created that start with hand-drawn images of the princesses. So really cool. They're submitting the work in a can, So, there's a lot of cool possibility. You can still be creative. You can still be very tactile in your practice and apply it here in Firefly.
I mean, for me, like, the biggest sell for this product is that there is a GUI interface that you can actually select on things rather than having to know the terminology and getting an understanding of the vernacular. You literally are clicking on things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's everything's there, and you just select the style, that is something you never heard of before, and you just really fun way to experiment different styles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even things like different materials, charcoal. Like my daughter's in studying graphic design now. She's a freshman, so she's doing all these initial artwork classes, right? One of which, of course, you can't avoid is the charcoal drawing class, right? So she's doing some of that, right? So, but yeah, I mean, there's ways to get all of that here. You can choose colors and tones as you like, different lighting styles and treatments, camera angles. This is all relatively newer stuff that we've since incorporated into text to video, right? So those are that's kind of an overview of the text to image interface. Really powerful. I'm sure you guys have played with it. But I'm always an open invitation to anyone that watches this. Shoot me an email with your cool stuff. We'll try to highlight it in some way or highlight your work. we're starting to see generative AI emerge as a true art medium. So, art sources or art shows, if you will, with generated work. There was an artist that had used Firefly to generate his own Gen AI interpretations of design. And he has a show, or he had a show, or maybe he still has it, at the New York MoMA. So pretty cool, So yeah, it's becoming an art medium. And again, it's just like, it's really cool to just see that happening. Okay, so one of the things too, I said like, okay, well, I want to be able to generate maybe some 16:9 images, right? And then, and rather than like kind of dragging you guys through that time, I've already, I've already taken, so I have a couple of options, I should say. One of these was say, I want to open these images in Photoshop Web, right? So after generating, the thing that we always have to impress upon folks is there's always still going to be post, right? Whether you need to like, whether you've received that image or you've generated the image or you've gone out and done a shoot with images, there's still going to be some amount of post, right? Yeah. And so in this case, it's like, okay, well, do I want to just open this as a still within Photoshop Web? Do I want to expand it here to kind of get it ready for 16:9 widescreen and text to video? All of that, like you have those options here. And then just having that ability to open in Photoshop Web. So here I am in here, and then I've got, I'll have all my, here, let me escape there. Not that. But you get the point. Like I'm able to open up, what's going on here? But you get the point. So I'm able to open it inside of Photoshop, and then I'll have all my, Photoshop Web is definitely a lighter weight feeling tool, I'd say, rather than being presented with all of your palettes at once. These are some of the things we learned from XD, right? So we've got like contextual palettes that open up as you open each of the tools. So just something that, if you haven't experimented with Photoshop Web, this is kind of the quick and dirty. Certainly you can open it inside of Photoshop desktop as well. Okay, so when you go to text to video, you're going to see this video first. So when I say that, if you go to text to video here, you're going to get shown this sort of how does it work video first. And some of the things, again, I'll do kind of quick orientation on the interface, right? So I've got the Firefly video model. Then I want to generate widescreen. I'm going to default to 24 frames per second. Shot sizing, I could do close-up, medium long, extreme long, all of those things. Camera angle, if I want to create different, high, viewing from above, all of these things, top down, etc. And then what kind of motion do I want to have with camera? I can create all of that. Advanced settings, we haven't really set that up yet, but this I think is perhaps the coolest thing, because if anything, if any of you have worked in Flash and did any tweening, right? Remember that term? So I can have a first frame and then the ending frame. It's grayed out now because I haven't uploaded the first frame. And then we'll automate in between, right? Or automate the animation in between. So super cool there. What I did was take one of these guys here, and use that as a reference image that you'll see here. And then I put as a simple prompt, and all I did was upload that image and snow falling on the robot and gentle swaying of trees. So you'll see that it just kind of takes me out of this kind of post-apocalyptic, scratchy like room, and then it turns it into a nature. It even morphs the robot. So just like, and that's the thing with video. Like, it's if we thought that you don't know what you're going to get with text to image, you don't know what you're going to get with video. It can sometimes be the case, which is a lot of fun. But and I think you saw this in Copenhagen, Brett. Like I'd opened my presentation with a quick text to video slide. So, and granted, these are 5 seconds long. That's kind of what we're generating from the get-go here. But we have seen some customers generate several of these and stitch them together, right? So, and you can just do that in Premiere Pro. Or sometimes like they're doing what I did, which was like interstitial bumper slides between still ones in a deck.
And you could upload just photography if you had 2 shots of the same person, right? And it'll
exactly
imagine what the camera move might be in between them.
Exactly the case. And that's going to be what you have here with the initial frame. And now it's lit up, I can add in an end frame, right? So I didn't download one of those, but you kind of get the idea here.
No, that's great.
So yeah, right now it's still, we just released it in a public beta about 2 weeks ago. So have fun with it. And yeah, to anyone out there, let us know what you create. I'm curious to see what your possibilities are, what things you generate with it. So one of the things too that I did was, I took kind of a headshot that I had, one of these, like my little convertible top shot here. Yeah. And then I started to play around with an anime illustration of a Filipino man in a winter mountain expedition.
Nice.
Right? So that's me. And so, first it generated, this is just what it generated. And then I uploaded the composition reference, which was my actual headshot. And then it's, you can see it's kind of it's used the seats in my car as like a backpack and like mountains here. So that's kind of cool. It's got kind of the squarey shape of my glasses and my jaw. So, and then kind of the flip of my hair. So it was kind of cool to see that, if you don't just want to do a stylized avatar shot of yourself, it's something that you can do, and have fun with. And then I guess how am I doing on time, guys? I know.
Actually, are you allowed to show Remix?
I cannot share that yet.
Okay.
I checked and I was like,
looking forward to that.
So Adobe Concept, just so like there is some publicly facing information. Let me see if I can just Google it. But there is some. So what Adobe Concept is doing is mood boarding. Mood boarding and concepting the age of AI with Project Concept. So essentially what we are doing is we found that there was a lot of use cases for Gen AI that were about coming up with the big idea, right? Like it's my creative co-pilot, and we found that,
there's mostly what I use it for is creating mood boards and something that inspired the content we're going to create later. And the faster you can iterate that, the better.
Look, I could have a whole second show with you guys walking you through because it blows my mind. Like it's super cool. So if you imagine the unlimited canvas of Miro, right? And you're able to upload color chips, upload swipe that you get from your clients, right? And then any stock searches that you might have done, or even images from a shoot that you had done in the past, and you kind of want to use that as a factor that helps generate some of your new ideas, or like you've had a strategy person kind of define like the look and the feel and the moods and the audience profiles and all that stuff. You can upload all of that into that single infinite canvas, right? And then where the cool part is that I'm then able to generate prompts, against all of these as inputs, and then merge in and remix stuff, right? So if I've got let's say I'm designing for a coffee shop and I've got a bunch of interior images, minimalist, lots of wood tones, and it's very open concept. It's, there's not a lot, maybe some artwork on the walls, super simple, right? And then I've got images then too of the branding work that's initially been done. It's like, I've still got that kind of earth tone look, to the logo itself, to the rest of the brand elements. And I want to like remix all of that, right? Then you can select the two, hit generate, and then see what you get, right?
That's really cool.
It is mind blowing. It's also meant to be a environment where, I'll put it this way, where Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, those are tools where you have to live by design rules, right? And concept is a place where you can break all of those rules, right? It's a playground. And so as you're creating all of those images, you can start to move stuff over and say like, well, this is my mind map for this coffee shop concept, but what if it wasn't minimalist? Maybe we'll theme it like a jungle, right? I've got all these like jungle images, marry that with a brand, and then like, okay, well, that's another concept we can present to the client, right? And then you can basically download all that. You can assemble it all on that canvas into slide form, and then download that and drop it into your deck, right? So or create a deck from it. So concepts is just gonna be super cool and mind blowing for you guys. I'm sorry I can't share anything yet.
Do you know anybody that's like using it now, like, as far as like big companies or?
Yeah. So what I should do is at least get this NeoPangea team here, and maybe a select few from online. So reach out, but maybe get a few of you into the private beta that we're running right now. And then I can walk you guys through it. You'll be all NDA'd and all that stuff. And not that you aren't now. I think I don't know who the audience is that you'll present this to and what stage will be in launch. Right. But I'm excited to share that everywhere I go, provided that we've got all the right Adobe and customer stuff in place. I'll get you guys on the list for sure. Now we're starting to get more of a ramp of users on it. And of course, we love the feedback.
I'm not a cop, man. You can just show it. I'm just kidding.
Man, I got so many projects like this, it's called Project Concept now, but it's now just Adobe Concept. And it's part of the Firefly family of products. It's browser driven, right? And again, it's meant to be an environment where you almost don't have to prompt. You can choose all of these visual influences to then create your ideas.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's where it's going, because it feels, even though all this technology is so new, having to type words into an interface feels so archaic. So the more interfaces we have on this to make our jobs easier, the better. And again, I'm so excited that you came to share this with us today, because there's so many tools out there, but you've been thinking about ethics from the start, which is amazing. And all of these, what gets me the most excited is about how we can iterate faster, how we can create stuff to throw away or keep moving forward, or just get feedback into the cycle as early as possible, so we're not spending so much time on stuff we're going to change later.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad that you guys are starting to see or have seen, this is a force of good, generative AI, Firefly in particular, just this being a force of good for creators. It was our intention from the beginning.
For creators, we're trying to empower our team to be able to be more efficient and work faster and be able to iterate quicker, just like I said, but also our clients too, because we can stretch the budget and get them get more things developed faster and get them into the conversation as early as possible.
For
and
sure.
not waiting for some presentation in a month when we had all the time to like develop these concepts. They can be real agile from the very beginning.
Agile and more experimental, like if there's some channels that your clients were previously unsure of, and you want to run a test campaign through it using some artwork that you've generated, and or do some A/B testing, like you could totally put that in front of them, or try, as I said, try a new media channel that they've never been in before. Like maybe they were always in Instagram stories and not enough TikTok, and there's a lot of Gen Z that's learning information from TikTok, right? Like maybe we should put our how-to videos out there. So there's a lot of experimentation that way that's now possible, if only to either resize an existing campaign or be inventive of a new campaign on a new channel.
Is there a release date for the new tool you were just walking us through?
So Concept will be released at, I should say a more public beta at Adobe Summit. Don't hold me to that. That's my standard disclaimer. But that's the timing we're looking at it. And then we've got a whole bunch of other stuff I didn't even mention that's going to be live for Adobe Max in London. And you're asking because you're there. It sounds like a week.
Yeah, it's like a couple weeks. Yeah.
But like, that's that one is like it's not like the Max that we have that we have in the States. In Europe it's a day long one, but we're releasing so much stuff that's Firefly related that it's one you're going to want to register for virtually even. But that's the end of April. I want to say like April 24th, 25th, somewhere in there. Lots of cool stuff on the way for tied to that event.
Awesome. I look forward to
Jay
with that.
Yeah, Jay, thanks for spending time with us.
Yeah, you bet, guys. Totally.
Yeah. So we're so excited about this. And Aaron, as usual, thank you for all your help.
Of course.
Yeah, anytime. This is fun. And hopefully do it again in part 2. We'll talk about Adobe Concepts.
Yeah, definitely. There's a sequel.
Yeah, awesome. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.